Good morning, world. The Atheist Community of Austin is a proud sponsor of that anti-Springer of talk shows. If logic and critical thinking are your religion, then you found the right show. Coming to you live from Austin, Texas, with today's guests, the members of Atheist Community of Austin, with your dynamic duo of brains and beauty. We have Martin Wagner, always ready to champion the cause of truth, justice, and the secular way. On to our host, Jeff Dee. Take it away, Jeff.
Hi, folks. Ray, we could not hear you in here.
Yeah, at all.
At all. You weren't coming through on the studio
He
mic.
Came through over the air, so...
Okay.
Right.
It's cool.
Yeah, fix that in case Ray wants to comment. Hi, folks. Welcome to the Atheist Experience. We are live March 19, 2000 CE. The Atheist Community of the show is brought to you by the Atheist Community of Austin, which is a non-profit educational organization promoting positive atheism and the separation of church and state. We have weekly meetings every Sunday morning at the Hot Jumbo Bagel Shop, 307 West 5th Street, at 10:30 a.m. right after the show, except for the first Sunday of each month when we have our lecture series at 11 a.m. at Furs Cafeteria at North Cross Mall. Our next lecture will be taking place on Sunday, April the 2nd, and the speaker will be Howard Thompson. ACA board meetings take place at noon right after our regular meeting on the second Sunday of every month. These meetings are open to all ACA members, but you can only vote if you're on the board of directors. The next board meeting will be on April 9. Roughly every 3 months, in celebration of a solstice or equinox or whatever is happening, we invite members of the ACA to the studio to form a live audience, and here they are. So we got a camera too?
And
There they are. Also, could we get a shot on either me or Martin and somebody straighten up camera too?
yeah,
It looks all crookedy.
yes.
Thanks.
Once
Let's
again,
see.
the wire.
The Godless Gamers, which is a spin-off group of the ACA, meets every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. at the home of Vic Farrow. For more information, you can call our voicemail at 371-2911 or visit our website at www.atheist-community.org. This show can also be seen on the internet. Set your browser to spring.net, and the show there'll be a still image up there and some audio, I think, and then you can click to get a real video streaming format version of the show. Let your friends and relatives and associates out of state, out of Austin, out of the cable viewing area, know that they can see our show on that channel, and we'd love to get calls from people watching us from long distance. If you do call in from out of the local area, let our call screener know so we can put you on the air as quickly as possible and not have you waste your phone dollars. The number to call to get on the air live is area code 512-472-2255. And now we'll go over to Martin for news.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Martin.
How are you?
Can we get Martin? That would be camera one.
One of these days.
Camera one. Control room. Camera one, please.
Wow.
There we go.
Yeah, it's live television, folks. It's cable access early in the morning. And I don't know, Jeff, I think we should probably chide some of our members who didn't set their alarm clocks this morning for not forming our studio audience.
Yeah, it's a little like this particular show.
Yeah, I think everyone who didn't show up this morning for the show at the bagel shop should buy bagels for the people who did show up.
Oh, there's no penalty.
Oh, well. But we
have more people coming in all the time.
All right. So yeah, I have the news this morning for March 19, 2000, or 2000 if your name is Ray Blevins. And let's just start with the biggest one and probably the grimmest one, and you might have seen this plastered all over headlines, but here it is from us. Up to 230 members of DoomsDay Sect killed in Uganda fire. In Kanungu, Uganda, up to 230 members of a religious sect that believed the world was coming to an end burned to death in a fire at their church, police said Saturday. Initial reports differed as to whether the sect members had committed mass suicide or were lured to their deaths by their leader. There were also conflicting reports about what day the fire occurred, Thursday or Friday. The AP reported that police said the fire happened in Kanungu, a small trading center about 217 miles southwest of Uganda's capital, Kampala. Quote, there were families inside, even small children, Jonathan Turyarida, a local police officer, told Reuters. Reuters quoted police as saying members of the sect set themselves on fire in a ritual mass suicide after several hours of chanting and singing. Pius Mutikana Katunzi, an editor with the Sunday Monitor newspaper in Kampala, told CNN International that some local reports said members of the sect marched to the church, locked themselves inside, and then set themselves ablaze. But a police officer, speaking on condition of anonymity, told the Associated Press that it appeared that the sect leader, Joseph Kibwetiri, lured his unwitting followers inside. Quote, preliminary reports indicate that the leader of this sect lured the people inside the church and set it on fire, the officer said. It was unclear whether Kibwetiri had also died. A police spokesman told AP the sect was known to have about 240 members and was called the Movement for the Restoration of the Ten Commandments of God. The sect believed the world will end in the year 2000, he said. Katunzi reported that last year members of the sect burned their property and sold their belongings. A police spokesman gave a similar account to Reuters. Reports said Kibwetiri had predicted the world would end last December 31st. He subsequently changed that to December 31st, 2000. Quote, prior to this incident, their leader told believers to sell off their possessions and prepare to go to heaven, the police spokesman said. Local leaders said members of the sect slaughtered their cattle and feasted for a week, drinking a large supply of soft drinks and singing religious songs, the Monitor newspaper reported. Well, that's pretty ugly.
Say what you will about atheism, but as far as I know, no atheists have ever set themselves on fire for the sake of atheism.
But we're going to do it today, live on TV.
What is this? What is this Ten Commandments thing?
We shouldn't joke about that.
What is this Ten Commandments deal?
That was the name of the group was the Movement for the Restoration of the Ten Commandments of God. None of which I
Restoration
think,
where?
Well, I don't think
this
any
is
of them.
Uganda, right? That's not related to the movement to get the Ten Commandments.
No.
Schools.
No, but maybe.
Because I'm just,
I hope that nobody in this country gets any ideas from.
Because then I'd be wondering, whether they're thinking we need to have more fire deaths in schools.
Well, no. This is Uganda, and then
okay,
creepy. But I don't know that any of the Ten Commandments say thou shalt burn thyself alive. But
yep, just another example of the wonderful way that religion helps people lead happier, healthier lives.
Right. Well, let's shift from that to something a little more light-hearted, shall we? This is a fun one I found on the web. Biggest blasphemer in Christendom riles Greeks. Now, we usually like to think that over in Europe, people are maybe a little bit more enlightened about this kind of supernaturalistic nonsense that runs rampant in America these days. But we're wrong, Jeff.
Well, judging by the numbers, they are in general.
Well, this is in Athens, okay? Salman Rushdie was sentenced to death by the Ayatollah Khomeini for the outrage the satanic verses caused in the Muslim world. Now, Greek writer Mimis Androulakis has been dubbed, quote, the biggest blasphemer in Christendom.
How did they weigh him? How did he
don't
win
know.
this time?
What a guy. Well, it's interesting. Here's what he did.
Measure him?
Androulakis' audacity, fictionalizing the possible sexual longings of Jesus Christ. Okay, you guys can't listen to this. So. Has aroused such passions that a local court in northern Greece has banned the book as the only means of preventing outbreaks of violence. Oh, we haven't even gotten to the good part yet, Jeff. The injunction has pitched freedom of expression advocates and an embarrassed Greek government against Christian zealots and priests. Opponents have taken particular exception to passages that allude to a sexual attraction between Jesus and Mary Magdalene, the prostitute he brought into the Christian fold. Quote, Mimis Androulakis is the last hole in the devil's flute, said Georgia.
Well, you can tell what's on his mind.
Insert joke here. It said Georgios Markoulatos, who heads the Greek Orthodox Salvation Movement, which has staged public burnings of the publication. Wowzer. This book publicly insults God, Jesus Christ, and St. Paul. It is vile and obscene and treacherous because it harms the nation. Anyway. Through the courts, we will seek to have this pernicious work banned and confiscated across all of Greece. The book, M to the Power of N, seeks to explore misogyny through a series of dialogues between women. Not since the 1955 excommunication of Nikos Kazantzakis, modern Greece's literary giant, has a book caused such consternation. Kazantzakis, who, like Androulakis, was from Crete, was buried on unconsecrated ground after the church refused to forgive him for daring to question Jesus' divinity in The Last Temptation of Christ. Well, guys, dirt's dirt, you know. An uncanny...
Now wait a minute.
Yeah.
Now wait a minute. You know you want to get buried in the special magical dirt. Come on.
Yeah. If it brings me back, then you bury me in it. But in an uncanny echo of that debacle, the Holy Synod, the Greek Orthodox Church's governing board, announced that, this is my favorite part, quote, "Our religion may teach love, but we will never speak to Mimus Androulakis again." The aggressive reactions of the faithful are excusable in light of the unprecedented blasphemous foulness of this book. These guys are really mad.
It's okay to burn books as long as they say things that the church doesn't disagree with.
Yeah.
Right? That's what they're saying.
Right.
It's still love.
Yes.
As long as it is sanctioned by the church.
Yes.
Which is what they've said all along. And that's why we've had crusades and inquisitions.
Anyway.
And witch burnings and any number of horrifying travesties.
And charges of blasphemy. Just think, guys, it's the year 2000 and there are still countries in the world where blasphemy, it is a crime to suggest that the supernatural isn't real. Thank you, Arlen. That's my sentiments exactly. Charges of blasphemy were brought against Androulakis by 3 lay Christians, a professor of Byzantine history, a retired school teacher, and an ex-army officer. Quote, "I cannot understand all this fuss," said Androulakis, a former member of the Greek parliament, after fundamentalists threatened to lynch him.
Out of love.
Yes.
Entirely out of love.
This is not Iran. Greece is a European country, so he's clearly bewildered. Last week, as a Thessaloniki court convened to debate the charges, zealots ran amok, exchanging blows with the writer's supporters and chanting blasphemers and antichrists. On hearing of the ban, thousands flocked to buy the book, which, thanks to the unholy row, is now in its 13th edition with more than 35,000 copies sold.
And they're burning them all, right?
well.
They're buying them to burn them?
Oh,
Who
these are the people who were like in America when everybody went to buy Satanic Verses when it was. The injunction comes up for review when the court holds a second in-depth blasphemy hearing on May 16th. Meanwhile, just 4 weeks before the general elections, the Mary Magdalene affair, quote unquote, has put the socialist government, an avowed supporter of freedom of expression, on the spot. Quote, "It is shaming us internationally," sighed Apostolos Kaklamanis, Speaker of the Greek Parliament. "People will think Greece is another Iran." So that's pretty funny stuff. I have a bit of science news, or would you like to do the announcement about the rally first, Jeff?
Do the rest of your news.
Okay.
We don't have any calls yet, folks. To call in and talk to us live on the air.
And if you can find a copy of M to the Power of N, you know.
No, we cannot tell them to go buy books.
No.
The phone number is 472-2255. That's area code 512 for those of you watching from far away over the internet on spring.net.
Anyway, back to science news. Scientists find skeletons of tiny primates. They were furry little things with long tails, express-trained metabolism, and hearts that probably beat like jackhammers. They spent most of their time looking for things to eat at night, even as they tried to avoid being eaten in turn by predatory owls or other denizens of the darkness. They lived 42 million years ago in China, and they are the smallest primates ever found. The tiny, now extinct creatures were about the size of a human thumb. That's just too cute.
You're kidding.
A little monkey the size of your thumb.
Thumb-sized monkeys.
Yes, that's.
I find this hard to believe.
That's great. And we have one in the studio. The smallest weighed about 1/3 of an ounce, and the largest weighed about 1/2 ounce. The mouse lemurs of Madagascar, the smallest primates living today, weigh about 1 ounce. Northern Illinois University paleontologist Daniel Gibo announced the discovery of the 2 tiny parasites Wednesday, along with the identification of the first ever heel and ankle bones from a previously discovered small early primate.
Wait, they're calling these guys parasites?
No, primates. Did I say parasites?
Thank you. You said parasites.
Wowzer. I'm sorry, I was still thinking about the Christians rallying over to the book there. Primates. Yes.
Now, we're sure these were adult, fully grown, thumb-sized monkeys?
Well, that's what's intimated here. And they said they found the first ever heel and ankle bones from a previously discovered small early primate known as Eosimius that dates back to the same period. The Eosimius find offers further evidence that creature, which weighed no more than about 4 ounces, is the oldest known anthropoid, the more advanced primate branch that includes monkeys, apes, and humans. The new finds add to a growing body of evidence of a rich evolutionary history of primates in Asia, raising questions about the long-held view that human origins can most probably be traced to Africa. The oldest remains of human ancestors found are between 2 million and 4 million years old and were found in East Africa. The new primate finds may also help forge linkages in the evolutionary chain between early primates, which made their appearance about 66 million years ago, and anthropoids, which evolved between 40 million and 50 million years ago. And it just goes on with some details from here. But hey, creationists. You know.
More ancient monkeys.
Yeah. Go to the ATM.
That aren't around anymore.
Take out some money. Buy yourselves a clue. Right? No, you're a biologist, Michelle. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm not really a biologist.
Oh, I thought you were. No, I'm sorry. That's not you.
I'm biochemist.
Okay, well, you're our...
Close enough.
Anybody with...
Well, what do you think?
What do you think? All our resident
You like-
science types on the
You
audience?
like the mini monkeys?
Yeah, I like
I'm in
that
favor
one.
of mini monkeys myself.
Yeah.
I like a monkey.
They should clone those
Now,
instead of the
It
mammoths.
just occurs to me, the game, very popular kids game, Barrel of Monkeys.
Uh-huh.
Those monkeys are about thumb size.
So there would be a use if we cloned them today. We brought them
we
back.
could have barrels of live monkeys.
Yes.
All right.
More challenging.
Anyway.
More news?
Well, just a thing about school vouchers, but it's not crucial. If you had something
Do it.
you wanted
Do
to
it.
Okay.
Do the school vouchers thing.
Final news report for the day. School vouchers. Now, this is a big, of course, hot button topic among fundies. But in Florida, where there seems to be quite a lot of tussling about schools and whatnot and what you can and cannot do in them, a state judge yesterday struck down as unconstitutional Florida's year-old program of school vouchers, the first statewide system that allows students to escape failing public schools and enroll in private institutions. The ruling by Circuit Judge L. Ralph Smith Jr. in Tallahassee directly concerns 53 students who formerly attended 2 public elementary schools in Pensacola, the only Florida schools that have been labeled as failing. But it has the potential to affect thousands of the state's estimated 2 million public school students who would otherwise become eligible for vouchers in a few months. Quote, tax dollars may not be used to send the children of this state to private schools, Smith ruled. His decision was based on a 1998 amendment that the Florida voters added to the state constitution, declaring, quote, an efficient, safe, secure, and high-quality system of free public schools to be, quote, a paramount duty of the state. The ruling joins the mixed verdicts on voucher programs that state and federal courts have handed down around the country. In December, a federal judge held the voucher program in Cleveland unconstitutional, but allowed participating students to continue in private schools while his decision is appealed. In Florida, Smith permitted the Pensacola students to complete the school year in their private school. The state plans an appeal. Quote, Florida's residents have made it clear that they want an efficient, well-funded public school system. This voucher scheme undermined that goal, said Barry W. Lynn, Executive Director of Americans United for Separation of Church and State, which helped prepare the lawsuit. See, this is why the fundies like school vouchers, because they want religious schools to thrive, and they want us, Jack and Jill, secular taxpayer, to
Pay for
foot
it.
the bill. And anyway, it just goes on once again with some details. But so there is a lot, and of course, there's a great deal of news also on the wire that I looked at having to do with yes or no on school prayer issues. But it does seem that with all of this, these attempts to infiltrate the schools with religion, they are being challenged, and in some cases, such as this one, they are being won.
Yep.
They're being met. So the fight is not over yet, but the fundies will not give up very easily. And that is the news for March
A
19th.
very interesting challenge to our Constitution, because polls are showing that most people do want things like prayer in school and these voucher programs, but that's not the issue. We are a democracy, but we are not mob rule. You can't overturn the Constitution, even if most of you want to. It just doesn't work that way. We've got a call on line 1. Let's take it.
Let's talk to Bill.
Bill. Hello, Bill. Wait a minute. Hello? Bill. We're just not getting him.
Sorry, folks.
We're not. He's.
Phone problems.
He
Whoa.
We don't seem to be able to get him on the. Now we lost him.
Are you there?
Hello. Hi.
Bill.
Yes.
Hi, Bill. What can we do for you?
Sorry about the phone problems, sir.
No, that's okay. I was watching a show, Defenders of the Faith. I don't know if you know what that is.
Yeah, we've heard of that.
Yeah. It's similar to this show, but it's a bunch of Christians up there. They gang up on atheists that call in. But anyway, and I know I don't really listen to it, but I happened to hear a guy debating about evolution on there, and then I recognized his voice to be Arlo.
Oh.
And so I thought, and towards the end of the discussion, Arlo, they had mentioned about having a debate with our show, and they'd also said that they'd spoken to the Atheist Experience and about doing a debate, and apparently we didn't respond or something, and I was wondering if we had planned on ever doing a debate against them.
If I can mention, they were the ones that brought that up. I didn't really bring that up because that's up to us as a group, I think, as an organization.
Let me hang on a second. Don, do you know anything more about this?
I know that was mentioned in the past. We had a guy that left a message on our voicemail saying, I heard that the Defenders of the Faith show was going to debate y'all. As far as I know, no one has ever approached any of us and
Yeah, I
said
think
that.
they did. I think they did. But our point of view is they certainly need recognition for their show, and the only way they can get it is if they can engage us in debate.
Yeah, I remember this issue when I first got involved in the TV show. That was like something that had recently happened, and the decision had been made that this TV show is not about doing stuff like that. They've got their own show. They can say what they want to say on their own show.
Right. I would
don't
think it
personally
would be
agree with that. I'd personally love to debate them, but
right, and
it's not
even
gonna
if
be an
it wasn't
ACA.
on the show, I think it'd be a good idea if we set a time, maybe at First Cafeteria or something else,
Yeah,
where we could have a debate with them.
yeah.
Yeah, but
I'd love to, but it's not going to be ACA sanctioned unless the group decides that they want to, and that doesn't appear to be the case.
Okay, well, too bad, but
Yeah, John.
Yeah, I have something to say about the question of debating creationists. I belong to an organization called the National Center for Science Education, and for the most part, they usually advise against that. It's usually a waste of time, and it's for the reason that scientific ideas aren't really decided in a debate. And the only way, there's no real good way to come out for scientists to come out looking good in a debate. Because what'll happen in debate, and if you talk to creationists, you know this, they'll come up with some obscure thing that they've pulled out of some journal that they've misquoted, or they're just outright lying about. And unless you have some kind of super memory where you can read all the journals and memorize everything in them, there's no defense against that. And they don't really stick to the issue. They don't really talk about what they say they're going to talk about. The only real good way to debate creationists is to have very, very specific guidelines, probably have a moderator, and to have a moderator that's willing to stick it to them and keep them to the issue that's supposed to be talked about. And I've debated creationists a number of times, and it's largely a waste of time.
Also, from what I learned from debating with those people, is they use emotions too. You know, they try to drive your emotions.
Oh,
to come
yeah,
to the conclusion,
definitely.
and that
yeah,
is not
debate,
science.
and debate is about that.
and I
Well,
noticed
yeah.
that you all give them a lot more time to talk, where they hardly gave Arlo any time to respond.
Sure.
Yeah, that's it. They have to shout down the opposition because they can't successfully argue against you on the basis of facts.
Yeah, back to that story about what's going on in Greece. It's the fanatical fundamentalists who are against freedom of speech, because their whole strategy is to force people to be like them. They cannot stand up to a free and open discussion of ideas. We can. That's why we can afford to let fundamentalists, go on and on and on our show. They just make themselves look foolish.
Right.
Can I say something about that, please?
Yeah, and also we've been told that you'll need to.
I attended a creationist seminar, and we wrote it up I wrote it up for the Atheist newsletter about the great Texas cow patty throw contest. Basically, what they do is they take a lot of odds and ends stuff, load it up, and hope it's hot and smelly and stick. And things like poking a pipe in the ground, letting water flow up out of it, and because of the line content and other things, it starts forming a structure of sorts. And they say, well, see, stalactites and stalagmites can form in rapid periods of time. But they never take a look at the fact that they're cave systems, not open air, which means different rates of dispersal, different rates of everything, where how it forms, the water flow, and occasionally they flood. So, these people don't deal rationally. They deal and then they attack the messenger.
Yeah. If you want to know what constitutes good science, ask scientists. Thanks for your call, Bill.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, Arlo.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us anything about what happened when you were on that show? I mean,
Wow. Well, they use one tactic they use outdated material. Like they use for instance, the amount of dust that comes in from space. Supposedly, they say if the Earth was more than 6,000 years old, the Earth would be completely covered in dust. But then it turns out that back in the 1940s when we made those measurements. Now we realize those measurements are completely wrong. Scientists don't think that amount of dust comes in anymore, but they don't care. They just look at the old news, But then of course it's most of the stuff we've all heard before in a show. What transitional forms? No matter what transitional form you present, there's like, well, that's not transitional enough.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
Yeah,
That's the important thing to remember. Is that I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, I was just going to agree with what John had said and Arlo. Is every single attack on evolution that I have heard from a creationist is based upon either a deliberate distortion. They make something up about what they think evolution says, and then they attack that, which is of course easy because whatever it is they usually make up about what they think evolution says is ridiculous. So it's easy for them to attack that.
Right.
Or it's based upon just an inability to understand the information that they're looking at.
The first thing they did was emotional, though. They said, evolution, you don't really believe in that, do you, Arlo? Oh, my. It's like they try to push you out and make you feel like such an oddball.
Well, the answer to that is no, I don't believe in it. I have evidence to support it.
Yeah, science is about taking the available evidence and forming the most sensible conclusion that you can from all of the available evidence. Faith is about belief, and those are two different things. The object in science is not to pick some thing that you want to believe and then accumulate all the bits and pieces that seem to add up to that. Science is about accumulating all the bits and pieces, looking at all of it, and then drawing the conclusion that is indicated by the evidence, whatever it happens to be, even if it happens to fly directly in the face of your deeply cherished religious beliefs.
But the main crippling blow to creationism remains the fact that even though evolutionary biology, we can produce our transitional forms, we can produce all sorts of evidence from the fossil record, from the archaeological record, and what have you, creationists cannot produce their creator.
Right.
So that's really what it boils down to.
Can I say one thing about this way? Creationism relies on a belief system, like what was said earlier. But how many belief systems are present in this country? I mean, you go down and take the Census Bureau. There's over 2,000 different religious groups in this country, and there's at least 300 different groups that have a flood story, have a creation story, have a whatever story. Are we going to teach each of them equally?
I just got my census forms, and I was interested to note that there was no question there about religion, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. I'd like to have accurate information on that, but
there's different forms. You got a shorter, condensed.
Okay, a longer one they ask for all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Okay, I want to talk about something that went on last week. We had the primary elections.
Right.
And there has been a group of people, some ACA members and some non-ACA members, who got together and decided that they ought to make an effort to get themselves heard politically. And the way that that was done was they wrote up a bunch of resolutions on various issues to submit to the different political parties, and then after the voting in the primaries, each precinct had what they call a precinct convention, where people from the precinct could get together, look at the resolutions that had been submitted to their party, and vote on them, and to decide which ones would be carried on to the state primary. Well, I participated in that this last week, and I have just some interesting experiences to relate. I voted Democratic, and so I attended the Democratic precinct convention in my precinct. And the interesting thing about it was that the voting place was the local Lutheran church. And not only that, but the room that the church gave the Democratic Party, Vic, do not walk in front of the cameras. He knows that.
That was our stage director, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, that's our stage director. Yeah, everybody needs to talk louder. Well, probably not me. So the room that the church gave the Democratic Party to hold their precinct convention in was the Sunday school class. So here's a bunch of Democrats sitting around talking about these non-theist resolutions, and passing them all, I should add, in this room surrounded by crucifixes and posters of little happy children clutching at Jesus's robes, and posters that say reading your Bible is the best cure for non-belief, and all this other stuff, with their choir practice booming through the wall from one room,
Wow.
and a group of people that are apparently a committee managing their Sunday school classes meeting on the other side of this little thin cloth partition from us. And I must admit to a certain amount of childish glee, meeting to try to undermine the efforts of the religious right, right inside a church. There was something that was kind of like creepy and kind of cool about that all at the same time.
Oh yeah, I can understand.
My wife was elected the chairman of the delegation from our precinct to go to lead the delegates from our precinct to the state convention in Fort Worth in a few weeks, and that was kind of cool. But one other thing I wanted to mention to atheists out there who might be interested in getting active: if you voted in the primary election, you are eligible to be a delegate from your precinct to your convention, to your state convention. I know at least in our precinct, the precinct was allowed 13 delegates. There were only 8 people at the precinct convention, and not all of them could attend. So one of the things that the chairman of the delegation has to do is find people to fill out the rest of their allowed delegates. So if you voted and you want to be involved politically and maybe help these resolutions carry through to the state level, call your local political party headquarters and say you're interested in being a delegate from your precinct, and have them put you in touch with the person who was elected the precinct chairman. Now, I only know the specific details in the Democratic Party, but my understanding is that it works pretty much the same way in all the parties. So chances are there are slots available. Call and volunteer. I can't ask for that, right? It's nonpartisan.
Yeah.
It's whatever party you want to participate in. And certainly those fundamentalists out there watching our show, you have this opportunity as well. Okay. Then I have an announcement.
Well, before you move on to something else, can I touch on that just
Sure.
a little bit? I participated also in the Democratic caucus in my precinct, and I'd really like to thank Howard Thompson and Rodney Florence, who were spearheading the effort to get us involved. And I also want to extend my appreciation to those who participated in the Republican caucuses. Frankly, from my point of view, I always vote. I try to vote every single election, but this is my first time to ever go to a precinct caucus. And the issues that we were talking about and trying to get people familiar with were, I think they were received pretty, they were open and friendly to it. We have some people that went to the Republican caucuses, and I think those were brave souls that kind of venturing out there. Of course, I have no reports from them. I don't know how it went, but I think they're a little braver cut to participate on that end of it. And I'd just like to say thank you to Rodney, Howard, and everybody else that took part.
Yeah, I'd like to second that, and add that it was, this was my first time doing this too, and it was really interesting and fun. And again, we can't speak for other parties, but in my precinct, in the Democratic Party, there was no resistance to these resolutions whatsoever.
Let's talk about what were some of those resolutions.
I have the resolutions with me. There was one for, let's see, excellence. Resolution for the excellence in science education in Texas public schools. This is a resolution to remove from the Texas Board of Education the approval authority for public science school textbooks, and adopt a science textbook approval process that would involve relevant scientists, which
Not
is
politicians.
If you want to know what is the valid science of the day, ask scientists. Don't ask a bunch of elected functionaries. Let's see. There is a resolution, this one's been edited. It was basically to the effect that that all elected and appointed officials in Texas should be required there should be a mandatory requirement for them to take a class explaining the constitutional separation of religion from government.
Oh, I like that.
Which was, there was some discussion in our precinct saying, boy, what are the odds that a bunch of legislators are going to vote to agree that they all have to take some classes? The odds of it actually becoming law are pretty low. But the effect of a resolution like this, if it carries very far in your party, is to let your party leaders know that these are feelings, these are issues that are important to people in their party, and get the party to take it seriously and take whatever steps they can in achieving the kinds of goals that these resolutions are about.
Absolutely.
Resolution to establish equal political rights for non-theistic Texans. Let's see. Petition Texas legislators to enact legislation or amendments to the Texas Constitution that revoke the force and effect of the requirements that Texas public officials must acknowledge belief in a supreme being and take oaths of office that invoke a deity. That passed without too much discussion. One guy who had actually worked in some candidate's campaign said, "Boy, if we pass that, we are handing the Republicans a bullet to attack us with." But it passed anyway, because the general consensus was the kinds of people who are going to be against this, the kinds of people who think there should be a God oath, are already against us. It's not like this is an issue that's going to make that big of a difference.
They're going to go, hey.
Let's see. Whoops. Let's see. Resolution. That is, there was a resolution to include the lack of religious belief in the
I can explain
ENDA. Yeah, there's a bunch of different.
Yeah, that Rodney had worked on that. It went back to something that happened last time. And the end of the Non-Discrimination Act. Trying to get the language changed to include or lack thereof when they were talking about religion. Right. So it's not just that they can't just discriminate because of your religion. They can also not discriminate even if you don't have a religion.
We had a caller online. Mark, please call back.
Yeah, and Jeff, I wanted to clarify for our viewing audience that we are not a political action committee here. Right. We are a nonprofit group, and you're reporting on the actions of the individuals of the group. We're not doing this as a group. That's the information
we have, but the effort was to get people interested in these resolutions to go to whatever political party was of their choosing and support the resolutions there. So this was nonpartisan.
Did we lose Mark online?
Yeah, Mark, please call back.
Yeah.
We will take calls. But he's still there? The light went off.
Oh, okay.
Is he on line 2?
One.
Okay.
Let's try him.
I'm sorry, Mark. Mark?
Hi, Jeff. How you doing? Hi, Gabe.
Hi, it's Mark Loewe. How you doing, man?
Morning, Jeff. Mark.
Yeah, I went to my my Republican precinct.
You did?
First time in over 25 years of voting.
We'd love to know what happened.
Well, I introduced 2 resolutions. One resolution on letting children keep their math and science books permanently, and that passed unanimously. There were about 10 or 12 people there.
Wow.
2 of whom were former Texas state senators.
Wow.
And the other one was on a progressive form of school choice. Now, I happen to support that for better education, even though I don't support any religious aspect to that. And that passed unanimously, of course, in the Republican group. And a woman, there was only one other person who introduced resolutions, a woman behind me who introduced 3 resolutions having to do mainly with abortion and homosexuality and stuff like that. And of her 3 resolutions, I think, I'm not sure if I'm remembering correctly, but 2 of them might have failed 7-3, and one of them might have passed 7-3. So it wasn't a sure thing to get any resolutions passed.
Right.
And one of the fellows in the back, after all the resolutions had been considered, introduced a new resolution to commend me for my resolutions, and that passed unanimously.
All right.
And I also had a chance to go by the legislature Wednesday evening, I think, and I happened to on my way home from work, I happened to run into one of the representatives there, a Democratic representative, who was so taken by the school book idea that he offered to let me crash in his office anytime I wished to.
Why would you need to do that?
And
you have a place to live, I take it.
And he used his copying machine and everything.
Okay.
All right.
And I also visited with Lloyd Doggett face to face at the Walmart yesterday. So I've been a little activist here.
Well, I used to see Ann Richards at the Container Store all the time.
I know that with the Democratic Party, the resolutions I was just talking about were copied, like they made like several hundred copies of each one, and handed them to the Democratic Party, who then distributed them to the individual precincts. Did that not happen with the Republican Party?
That didn't happen with the particular resolution that I introduced because I was working on it even.
What I'm wondering about is whether any of the non-theistic resolutions were even raised in the Republican Party.
That I don't know.
Okay, not at the one you were at.
I can read you the school book one that I had passed, and I intend to try to shepherd it through at the higher level.
Yeah, I don't know why that one wasn't at the Democratic precinct.
Well, I passed a version of it, an earlier draft of it, to a couple of our people.
Yeah.
Or maybe only one. But
I can address that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mark gave me a copy of his resolution, but it was right before the primary.
Yeah.
And we, in order to get them distributed in the packets that went out to the precincts, there was a deadline the week before.
Right. So a little more organization in future would be in order. Now, do they have these local caucuses every time there's an election, or just presidential elections, or what's the deal?
It's my understanding that it's every time there's a primary.
Every time there's a presidential primary.
Well,
any primary.
No, because this happened 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And there was
no
presidential primary, but there was a primary.
Okay.
Every year after the legislature, when the legislature meets, the next year they vote. They have a choice of they run candidates for the legislature, and then so every year after they have a primary to pick people for the next legislature, and because it's a bicameral legislature every 2 years.
Regarding selection of delegates to the district and state conventions, we have an opportunity to make a list of delegates from our precinct, people who had voted, and as I understand it, we had to vote on that list at the precinct meeting.
Right.
And that after the precinct meeting, there was not an ability to add additional delegates.
That does appear to be the case in the Democratic Party.
I guess that's the difference.
Okay.
And if you want, I could read the school book resolution.
Yeah, that's short. We have another caller on the line.
Okay. That's all. That's all right. I'll hold off on that.
Oh, okay. Well, we should have him back on the show again.
Okay.
We talked about it last time you were on, and we should do that again.
All right.
Because it's a great idea.
It is a good
idea. It's a terrific idea, and I'm surprised it's taken to this long for someone in the country to come up with it.
Yeah, if I could just paraphrase, the idea is that right now the State Board of Education buys these great big hardbound science textbooks that then have to get updated periodically and thrown away, right? And it would be cheaper and better for the students if we had softbound books that they could keep at the end of the year. Is that basically it, Mark?
Smaller, softbound, less expensive books that children keep permanently, because that's the practice that is used in the countries that achieve highly in math and science.
Right. Right.
And we don't do that, and we perform miserably.
Of books that they could refer to get, accurate information.
Right.
All right. Well, thanks very much, Mark.
Okay, my pleasure.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Interesting.
Let's go to Jeff.
Now we do have a Jeff.
Jeff?
Hi, good morning.
Hi.
We enacted a little coup in the Republican Party in my precinct.
Yeah?
There was, the entire precinct was headed by gay men.
Yeah?
And we said we're tired of the Democratic Party promising us our rights. They had control of both houses during Clinton's first term. Could have easily just forced it down the throats of anybody who opposed it, and they chose not to. And so we said, well, let's just change the Republican Party from inside.
Okay.
And we passed all kinds of resolutions with unanimous. I mean, just one right after the other.
So what do you think about the involvement of the religious right in the Republican Party?
Well, the moderates are seeking us to team up with the log cabin Republicans to team up and push the religious right out.
Right.
And that's what's happening right now.
So there's a great deal of internal turmoil going on.
Yeah, because they know they're totally unelectable as long as the religious right is pushing their agenda.
Right.
And all we've ever asked for is to be left alone. So, you know.
Like you mean you don't have this take over the world agenda?
Oh no.
Well, knock me over with a feather.
Because they do. They assume everybody else does too.
Right.
It's
All right.
But it was pretty neat. It was just a cakewalk. I mean, I'd been a Democratic delegate before, and we just walked right through.
Yeah.
I showed everybody what to do.
Great.
Well, I know recently on the atheist mailing list, some people have been talking about stealth atheism. So I guess this is sort of stealth gay activism. So, high five. Keep it going.
Thanks.
Yeah, congratulations.
And keep calling the show if you have any further updates on how this is going on in future weeks.
I don't think a lot of people realize that the party candidates, they have to do what the platform says, and if everybody was that was really involved and cared about these issues showed up after the primaries close and changed this platform, these candidates would have to obey.
Yeah.
They don't have a choice. They lose funding if they don't.
Interesting.
I know in the Republican Party they lose funding if they don't walk a certain percentage of the platform. They lose funding.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's a way to change things because a lot of times in politics it's hold your nose and pull the lever. But this is the way to. No matter who gets in there, they really have to follow it. To a certain extent, or they get penalized for it.
Right. Okay.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks for your call.
Mm-hmm.
May I say something about the primary process?
Sure.
You take a look at school board elections. I'm gonna raise my voice. Is this loud enough, guys? You take a look at school board elections and primaries, where the least number of people vote. If there are 300 to 400 atheists in a town voting with all the people for school board members, they can change who's there. If you do the same thing at your county precinct level and it spreads across the state, that's the way the Republicans do it. A couple hundred here, a couple hundred there, 50 here, 60 there, and they change it slowly.
Right. More importantly, it's the way the religious right does it. In fact, Falwell just issued a big directive to his followers to get politically active, trying to increase, since only a small percentage of the population is politically active. I mean, way less than actually vote.
Right.
Go to these things and get their voices heard by their parties. If any group can get a bigger percentage of their people in these caucus meetings and get their resolutions passed, they can have a big impact. So if you're sitting back thinking, no, you don't have to be involved, whatever your point of view is, it's not getting represented unless you go down there and represent it yourself. I've got an announcement also. Boy, it's a very political show today.
It is.
Very interesting. Respect Our Constitution is an organization formed in it's Texas-wide, right?
I think it's rooted in Houston.
Well,
I could be wrong.
It was originally Howard.
It's a statewide thing. But.
It was Howard and
Rodney.
And Rodney originally. Are they?
Right.
They are still it.
Okay.
And I don't know where Howard's located. I thought he was back in Austin again.
I think he's somewhere in Central Texas.
Anyway, Respect Our Constitution is an organization formed to try to support the existing constitutional prohibitions against mixing church and state. A Respect Our Constitution rally is going to be taking place on Wednesday, March 29th from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m., starting at the state Texas Capitol and then marching to the governor's mansion. That's, once again, Wednesday, March 29, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m., starting at the Texas State Capitol. The Respect Our Constitution rally is for parents of school-aged children who respect the Constitution, for children in the public school systems who want to learn grassroots use of civil liberties provided in the Bill of Rights First Amendment of the United States Constitution, freedom of and from religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, freedom of speech or of the press, right of people to peaceably assemble, and petition the government for a redress of grievances. It is also for teachers and administrators in public school systems who should set examples in respecting our Constitution, people of all faiths and beliefs who respect our Constitution, people of all religious denominations who respect our Constitution, and people of no religion whatsoever who respect our Constitution. This will be a symbolic rally against government-supported and encouraged public school prayer. On that day, oral arguments will be heard by the United States Supreme Court in the Santa Fe Independent School District versus the Does in a battle over government-endorsed and promulgated Christian public school prayers. That's the thing going on in Santa Fe, Texas, south of Houston, that my wife and I and a couple of other people went to a protest there a few months back. What they've done is, in this school, they had the kids vote for whether they wanted a prayer before their football games. Only about 5% of the students actually voted, and it was passed. And now it is a official school activity that there is a student-led prayer before their football games.
Over the loudspeakers.
Over the loudspeakers, whether you want to hear it or not, whether you're a Christian or not, whether you believe in God or not, you get
prayer.
prayed at.
I'd like to point something out, Jeff.
Yeah.
When they did that, they made the big deal about telling the girl she couldn't do it or something. I can't remember all the details. She went ahead and did it, and the team lost.
And
their team lost badly.
And wasn't this all? There's at some level this has already been ruled illegal.
Right.
But the local,
they had appealed it.
I don't remember at what level, but at some local level, either school board or state level or something, or a county level or something, they decided to go ahead and keep doing it anyway.
The answer to that is though the SSID went to the Fifth Circuit, then it came back, and they could apply an appeal to the whole in-bank. First they got 3 judges, a panel of 3 judges. Then they submitted for an in-bank appeal, all 13 judges.
Yeah.
It was refused.
Right.
Then they got a local federal judge to say, well, that amounts to secular humanism taking over the schools. And then he said, yes, they could do it.
It's not secular humanism taking over the schools. It is perhaps unfortunate for Christians that the default, if you're not picking out any particular religion and saying this is the religion we're going to talk about, is that you don't talk about any religions at all, and that happens to be good for us atheists, right? That's perhaps unfortunate from their point of view, but it is not the same thing as saying what we're going to have in our public schools is atheism. And that's the case they're trying to make.
Well,
that if you don't talk about any religions at all, then what you're talking about is atheism. No, that doesn't follow.
Also, they don't. Well, maybe they do understand it, but it's not good enough for them. It's that it is perfectly legal right now for any school child in any American public school at all to pray individually.
Right.
I mean, if you are a student in high school or any grade school in America, and you just absolutely have to talk to the invisible space pixie, you can do it. Okay, you can drop to your knees and pray till you're blue in the face. But what they want, what you can't have, is a particular sectarian prayer recited over the PA system, because that is coercion. And in America, we have decided that it is just not the way we do things, okay, to make religious coercion the price for a student's education in the public schools. Now if you're a Christian and you've just absolutely got to have your children hearing prayers over the loudspeaker, pull them out of the public schools and pop them into a private parochial schools.
Where you can do whatever you want because it's your money.
Don't expect us to pay for it through vouchers. It's your choice, to raise your child that way, and I feel sorry for your child. But, it's not the way we do things in America. Because if we do it that way, if we have a recited Christian prayer, then we have to, if fairness is the issue, because that's what they claim, it's not fair. We have to have equal time for the sake of fairness. Then we have to have prayers from every other one of the, 2,000 religions that are being
the way they're trying to get around that implication is what they want is they want things done the way it was done in the Santa Fe School District, where there is one vote, where the one vote for one student to be the person who gives the religious invocation. And therefore, since they know they are in the majority, even among the students, they will get their way and everybody else will just have to take it.
Right.
Which is, once again, not democracy, it is mob rule.
What if you had, the Constitution is clear. The law is clear. And the law just can't be temporarily negated on a particular night or for a particular event like a football game just because a group of people decides they want to do it. What if what if they held a vote saying before the game, would you like to see a live sex act perform on the 50-yard line? Okay, and everybody voted for that. Would that make it legal and proper to do for people who might be offended at seeing something like that in public? And no, it does. That doesn't work. But if it doesn't work for that, it doesn't work for reciting sectarian supernaturalistic chants.
We've got some more calls. Woo, phone lines are
yeah, this sort of thing.
Lighten up.
All right,
let's take it. Hello, Ed.
Yes.
Hi, Ed.
I want to see, since y'all are part of this community, how everything has shaped up after the O'Hare situation.
What do you mean?
I mean, all the finances that went on, and did you ever
we are not American atheists.
Oh, okay.
So we have nothing to do with their finances.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
Let me say something about that, Jeff.
Okay.
Not only that, but we didn't really even form until after Madalyn O'Hare disappeared. So we really, although there may be members of our organization who are also members of American Atheists, it's a separate thing. A lot of times people get confused about that, but we are not associated with American Atheists.
Yep. Let's go to our next
Larry.
caller. Larry.
Hello.
Hi, Larry.
How are you doing?
We're fine. What can we do for you?
I was just wondering, if Buddha and Jesus got in a fight, who do you think would win?
Okay, thanks for your call.
Hands
for Buddha?
I'd say Buddha has a weight advantage.
Buddha would just say, life is all illusion and it's not even really happening.
Yeah.
And Jesus could just pound him to a bloody pulp and he wouldn't even notice.
So, anyway. Well, hardly original though. South Park covered that and they did it better because
That's right. Oh, what was Santa Claus and Jesus?
No,
did they do a Buddha?
And then it was Satan and Jesus.
Yeah.
And Satan actually won the bet because he was the only guy. He threw the fight and he was the only guy in town who voted for Jesus to win. So yeah.
All right. Let's go to Stephen.
Good afternoon.
Hi. What can we do for you, Steve?
This is the first time I've ever seen your program, and I just happened to come across it.
Okay.
I wanted to comment about the Santa Fe election thing that's happening here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, not being as quite as familiar with the circumstances you are, let me make sure I got this right.
Okay.
We've got a whole school of kids that we've got some rabble-rousers at the school that want to do something that they want to pray before football games.
Yes.
Is that right?
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
No, no, that's maybe not a fair way to characterize it.
Okay,
It is
let's just say
probably
there's
true
some-
that the majority of students want this. That is probably true. Or if they don't personally want it, they're saying they want it because their parents are telling them to.
Or it's a thing where they could
so
take it or leave it.
It's
and
hard
don't
to.
care
I mean,
either way.
yeah.
Okay, so let's just say that there are some people. There are some people who want this thing.
Sure.
And they had some type of an election.
Yeah, they had a vote.
They had them vote.
Yeah.
What kind of a way is that to solve a problem in this country? To vote?
Yeah. Well,
So we had all these people get together and vote, and they voted for a prayer?
Yeah, they voted for something that was a violation of the Constitution.
Oh, okay, no, wait a minute. So there's a federal law against there being prayers in a local school?
There is the
the
Constitution
Establishment
does
Clause.
not allow the federal government to promote religion.
Oh, I see. So this is a federally run school.
It's a public school, yes, sir. It's
But it's a state-run school is what you're saying.
14th Amendment.
So what you're saying is the federal government has not actually passed a law against prayer in this situation.
Be allowed to answer him, please.
No, wait, no, we didn't hear that last bit. Say that again, caller?
So what you're saying is this is not a situation where the federal government has done it. This is a state issue.
It doesn't matter. The Constitution
the
still applies.
Oh, no. See, that's where you're wrong.
part of
The federal government is only entitled to do the things that we give it the power to do. Everything else is up to the states. And this sounds to me like sour grapes of a bunch of people who fell victim to voter apathy, didn't get off their butts and vote, and now they've got a school prayer that the majority wants.
Yeah.
It's
not
okay.
an
Here's
answer.
no. That's
In fact, I am going to answer you. Sorry, guys.
No,
the
wait a
state
minute.
Constitution says specifically, no money shall be appropriated for any sectarian institution. It also specifically says that no religion in Article 1 series is to take predominance.
Oh, no. That is not what it says, sir. That is not what it says. What it says is that the federal government is prohibited from establishing a federal church, a country, the federal government is prohibited from establishing a church.
I think
it is also prohibited from passing any laws whatsoever that infringe on anyone's right to practice their religion in any way, shape, or form. That's what it says.
Right,
now,
sir,
this is not a federal issue. This is a state issue. This is an issue where you have an election, and then you've got a bunch of people whining and crying because they lost.
Whoa. We got way too many voices responding to the caller. We'll take them one at a time. And it's my turn now. There is more to the separation of church and state at the federal level than just that one clause which says the federal government will make no laws respecting religion, which is I think what you're referring to. There is more to it than that. Okay.
Okay, where? Tell me where.
All right. We will now go to our guy who knows the details.
Okay, to put it really simply, the Establishment Clause is kind of vague in some areas. I will give you that. But you said it is a state situation. So now I'm going to direct you to Article 1 of your state constitution that has several provisions that no money shall be appropriated for any sectarian institution or to be used to any religion, that people shall be allowed to practice. Wait a minute. I let you listen. I listen to you and I listen to me. The state constitution specifically in the state of Texas disavows that. If you can't read your constitution, I'm sorry, sir, you're wrong.
This allows the spending of money for it, is that correct?
I'd like to
money or anything.
Okay, here's the thing. There was no money in the budget for a prayer. Okay, this is free.
Now wait, there's plenty of budget and money in the budget for the school, and as soon as the school becomes a place where they have football games, and when you go to the football game, you get preached at.
And you're a captive.
No additional funds are necessary to preach a prayer.
Is a sectarian organization. That's what's happened. The vote by this supposed vote by the students has turned the school into a sectarian organization. If the school wants to stop getting state and federal funds, they may, and then they can vote to pray for anything they want. But as long as they are getting state and federal funds, they can't be an organization promoting any particular religion. That's what they're doing.
Well, here's the thing, though. This is no different than a a group of kids that meet after school for any activity.
It is.
Now, you do admit that you will support a group of kids the right to get together and congregate.
Of course it's different.
How can you possibly say it's different if they voted that this is what they want?
Because nobody else is there for some other purpose who has to be exposed to their religious beliefs.
Well, this may be a shock, but I honestly believe that if you're looking for offense, you're going to find it. Everybody's got to be offended about something. All the minorities have something to be offended about. Everybody's got something to be offended about. Now, here you got a group of people who want to do nothing more than something that is harmless to you, and you're going to jump up there and tread all over their rights to do what they want to do.
First of all, it is not harmless to believe. It is not harmless to believe in an invisible daddy in the sky who watches you at all times and judges you on the basis of what you do. That's not harmless. But
actually,
that's
I'm going
not
to disagree with you there. Okay, the fact of the matter is, if you're living like there is no God, you better be right. You'd better be right.
That's Pascal's wager, and it's one of the most disreputable arguments in philosophy. Let me
this stuff.
Address.
Let me pipe in here just 1 second.
All this stuff, though, is irrelevant. Sure, I mean, we having decided we don't believe in any gods, we're looking around and we're noticing things about life that we think would be better from our point of view. But that isn't the issue, really. The issue is what's legal and what's not. And what's going on in Santa Fe just isn't legal. It's not going to pass at the state level or at the federal level. It just isn't. And every time the fundamentalists come out and try to get these things to happen and they fail, they just end up looking like idiots.
Is that a fact? Well, then tell me why are these kids still allowed to pray before the football game?
That's because
here's a great life lesson for these kids. Now, you were talking a few minutes ago about starting these. You were talking about having these little grassroots organizations where they get together and they learn.
We have a rule on the show. We'll let you talk, but you can't just talk right over us, okay? Because then we'll let you go.
Well, I'm sorry. The TV's in the other room. I can barely hear you.
Okay.
You can't hear us over the phone?
Well, I can barely hear you over the phone, so I'm kind of listening from the other room.
All right. We want to respond to the first thing you said, which was, why are the kids still praying at the school?
Yeah.
That's because at the local level, not even at the state level, at like a county level, they've decided to give the middle finger to the Constitution of the United States. That's why they're still voting.
I'm going to disagree on that interpretation.
Okay.
I'm going to disagree with that interpretation because
All right.
they apparently had a vote on it, and they said this is what we want.
They don't get to vote to ignore the Constitution of the United States. It doesn't matter. You can't, at no level can you do that except the federal level.
All right, I'm going to speak up
There
here.
has been no clear, definitive answer that this is a violation. I mean, you're just saying that here they are. They're still talking about this thing in the Supreme Court.
Before
If it was that cut and dry, they wouldn't still be hashing this out in the Supreme Court.
on the 29th, they're going before the Supreme Court, and if you will happily accept whatever the Supreme Court says, so will I. Because I know it's going to fail.
And there's also the federal Constitution has an amendment, I believe it's the 18th, that applies the 14th, applies the federal Constitution to all states. And so they can't violate it's not a state issue. It becomes a federal issue on that issue.
Well, see, here's where you're wrong, though. Whereas the federal government does have power to pass laws for all the states, what they don't have to do, they don't have the right to do, is dictate how life is, and every little thing is conducted in the states. The problem is we have allowed the federal government to take on way more responsibility than they could ever have.
This particular matter of the prayer at the football games
And-
isn't about the government trying to dictate whether or not you can or cannot be a member of the Christian religion.
Well,
What
you're
it
trying
has
to
to
say
do
that the federal government is endorsing this Christian prayer by allowing these kids to vote and have their prayer.
They are endorsing it by taking a federally sponsored event, right? A football game.
This is a locally sponsored event.
The school gets federal funds. It is a federal issue.
It's a public school, and it's part of the athletic department receives money from that school's budget.
And they're officially having a prayer for from a particular religion before this federally sponsored event. They can't do that. This is not about each and every little thing in your life. This is about what the federal government is doing and whether it's legal or not legal.
Well,
if this were a private parochial school,
Don wanted to talk.
it would be fine.
Don.
Well, let me ask you this. Since we're talking about schools and church and state and all that.
We have more responses to what you said.
I'd like to speak up for the there's a number of
I'm sorry, can you speak up just a little bit louder?
Okay.
Can we just turn up the mics a little?
We'll hold them.
No, they're up all the way.
Oh, that's better. Much better.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'd like to speak up for there's a number of us here that are parents of kids in public school. As a matter of fact, when you called in, I think you spoke to my daughter. She's 9 years old in the 4th grade, and I'm proud as heck.
Daughter, she got a really big voice.
Thank you. The ideas that you are in favor of are, to me, frankly, very offensive. And I really appreciate your calling because I think your point of view kind of illustrates the what we're up against here. And I think it also illustrates that a lot of people who are dedicated to religion really don't care that much about issues like fairness and tolerance. And thank you for your call.
If I may, I don't believe I've said anything derogatory or negative about atheists. Okay, but I do believe that I've heard my God referred to as the great pixie in the sky, the invisible daddy, and things like this. I've not tried to be offensive to you, sir. In fact, I mean, there is absolutely no hostility in my heart for you or your people. Now, if you want to talk about tolerance, okay, then tolerance is a two-way street. Okay, the Christian, if you want to talk about the most hated demographic in the world, it has to be the white male, age 18 to 65, who's Christian and not living on welfare.
Oh, this Rush Limbaugh nonsense
Now
again.
think about this. But that kind of gets us off the subject. We're talking about church and state, we're talking about schools and that kind of thing. Let's talk about this for a minute. I mean, on the same vein as having a prayer before a football game, what about the Pledge of Allegiance?
What about
Does
it?
that just drive you nuts?
What about it? Why?
One nation under God? Does that drive you crazy?
You know when that phrase was added? You know when the words "under God" were added to the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sometime around the time it was put on the money?
Yeah,
that's
that
right.
was in the
About
50s.
About 1954.
And that was because we were going through this wonderful thing that is now known as McCarthyism, where a bunch of people did this witch hunt throughout our government and Hollywood and everywhere.
Red Scare fears.
There was Red Scare fears, and everything suddenly was anti-communist, and God somehow got identified as a thing that was inherently anti-communist. And
well,
that's
because the
why that
communists
happened.
were very anti-God.
We would love, if you're asking us if we would like that taken off our money and taken out of the Pledge of Allegiance, of course we would. It's ridiculous.
And the original Pledge of Allegiance did not have that. I was a classroom teacher for 15 years, and I posted on my wall the original Pledge of Allegiance, the way it was supposed to be, without any mention of any God. And I always found that offensive when that was being read out. I'd also like to go back to something earlier about the...
ask me this. Okay, and this goes way back before the 50s. Every time we've ever inaugurated a president, why are they putting their hand on a Bible? Why is that still commonplace in the...
Well,
that's the point.
Just because something is done over and over again, that doesn't make it right.
No, but
that's like saying... That's like... Wait a second.
Mindset of
that's like when you're a kid and you're doing something wrong, and you tell your parents, well, everybody else was doing it. And that was not a good excuse then, and it's not a good excuse now. Also, I'd like to bring up something. The Does, in this case, in the Santa Fe situation, my understanding is they're not atheists. They're not. Believe it or not, there are people out there that are theists, that believe in God, or of some variation, that do not want to have Protestant prayers forced down their throat at every public event they go to. And I've known a number of people, I'm talking right now. I've known a number of people when I worked in school who felt that way. Catholics, other variations of Protestants, who were sick and tired of having Protestant fundamentalist prayers forced on them at every opportunity. And it's a big world out there. There are a lot of people with a lot of different types of beliefs, a lot of different...
Yeah, that's... That's what we're talking about.
And that's what we don't want to see. And whether it happens over and over again isn't the point. The point is it's not right. It's unconstitutional. It's unproductive. And that football team still lost.
Well, the thing about the reason why they're still hashing this out in the Supreme Court is because your interpretation is only one of many. Okay, if it was that cut and dry, then this wouldn't be an issue anymore. And the reason why I bring those things up is because it goes to the mindset of the founding fathers. Okay, the founding fathers of this country who drafted that Constitution and put things in place that we have been doing for years and years and years, obviously had some type of theist mindset. Now, granted, oddly enough, I believe Thomas Jefferson was an atheist.
He was actually a deist. He believed in a God, but not in any kind of God that Christians would recognize.
Well, in any case, okay,
they didn't pray at the Constitutional Convention. The issue was raised. I think it was Ben Franklin.
That's right, it was Ben Franklin.
How about if we have some prayers here? What? Twice Ben Franklin said, how about if we have some prayers here? And twice his resolution was allowed to die without a vote, and they did not pray at the Constitutional Convention. If you want to talk about the mindset of our founding fathers, look at that.
Not to mention...
You have to admit there's a lot of fear back then when you're first starting the country, drafting the original documents of the country, that you do not want to fall into the trap they had in England where you have a church, a state church. I'm saying a federal church.
So
kind of like if you had federal money going to a school where you had Protestant prayers being said over the announcements, that kind of religion, because that's exactly what you're talking about. And I don't understand why you don't see where that's a problem.
See, there should not have been this vote among the students for whether they wanted a prayer in their school or not in the first place.
Any more than you could have
a violation of the constitutional separation of church and state for them to even ask the kids if they wanted that. All the kids are free to believe whatever they want. But none of the kids are free, even if they vote for it, to make a big public display on the taxpayer's dollar of their religious beliefs. They're just not. The government can't take that side.
Any more than the students could vote on whether or not they should bring back slavery. Take your entire argument and transfer the word slavery in for prayer, and you'll see how absurd it is.
Well, see, here's the thing.
And our founding fathers had
we're not denying the rights of some people. We are merely...
We should have slavery? Is that what you're saying?
The difference between slavery and this is the fact that we are not voting to deny the civil liberties of one group. We're just merely, they voted to allow other people to express their liberty, express their rights.
Are they also having atheists go up there and say, you people are all idiots for believing in an invisible space pixie?
Or what
See,
about
that would be
having
offensive.
Wiccans up there doing
That
Wiccan
would be
things?
offensive. The reason why they do not allow that is because that would be offensive.
if it offends you, it's offensive. But if
You
it offends
think-
anyone
what
who's
do
not a Christian,
Christians
it's
think?
not offensive?
Sir, you said, if I recall correctly, you said, if you don't believe in a God, you'd better be right. Why did you say that? What do you think is going to happen to me? What do you think is my fate if I don't believe in your imaginary space pixie?
Well, if you really want to think about it.
What you think is that I'm going to burn in hell
That is not what I'm saying.
forever. And you have the gall to say that us expressing our view that belief in your God that is foolish, that's offensive, but what you believe isn't?
Let's think about that for a
Goodbye.
minute. What I said
I'm going
was,
to hang up on you now, sir. We've had enough of you. Thanks for your call.
Wow.
I pledge allegiance to the Christian flag and to the Savior for whose kingdom it stands.
Good grief.
One Savior,
We're all going to hell. We're all going to hell for not believing in this guy's God. But if we say we don't believe in it publicly, that's offensive.
And I'd like
Screw you, you idiot.
Okay, that's wow.
Let's take another call.
Well, I just wanted. Okay.
No, go ahead, Mark.
Well, no, because I
straight to calls in a minute.
Because I barely got to say a thing during
I
the
know.
last
I'm
call.
sorry.
And first, I want to address this factor of hostility and intolerance on the part of atheists towards Christians, which he brought up, and we only get that way when Christians say things like, what's good for me is not good for you, or what's not good for me is good for you. They try to apply a double standard, which is what our last caller tried to do. He tried to say that, look, it's completely harmless, and it's not a problem for us to have our religion chanted over a loudspeaker in a captive audience at a football game, okay? But if that same captive audience were subjected to an atheist saying
then it would be offensive.
That's offensive.
Yeah, it's not dangerous, to have a bunch of people indoctrinated on the federal dime in a belief system which says bad things about us.
Yeah.
No, that's not dangerous. That's just you atheists.
Yeah.
We can
It's
tell
a-
everybody
it's a
to believe
pure-
bad things about you atheists. That's not dangerous.
It's a pure
idiots.
It's a pure double standard.
We need to go to a call.
Yeah. Anyway, it's very frustrating.
The lines are lit up.
Okay.
It is with some trepidation that I take this call. Hello?
Hello.
Who do we got?
hello.
Hi.
This is Reverend John Hamry from the Wildwood Baptist Church down in Bastrop.
How are you doing today, sir?
Yes, I was wondering how old that young man in the front row is.
We have no idea, sir.
How are you?
How old are you?
I'm 11.
11 years old.
Well, I'm gonna give you a chance to be saved, young man. You can come down to my church.
The show
Not
is
on
for,
our
sir.
show, you're not.
Yeah.
Okay.
You see, this is the problem. They want to just barge in, go straight to the children. Doesn't matter what the...
Warning! If you have children watching our show and you don't want them to hear anything atheistic, send them away right now.
Yeah, turn them
Give you a few
turn the
seconds.
dial.
Give you a few seconds. We're going to give all those children a chance to grow up without this burden of superstition.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Anybody still there? There isn't any God. The entire idea is completely stupid.
It doesn't hold up to critical examination. For Christians to have the gall to go right around... Is this your boy? Yes. Yeah. His mother's sitting right there, and you just want to flip the bird at her and say, I'm going to preach to your child, is the height of
dare
arrogance.
you.
That is the height of arrogance. But you think it's not offensive, and it's not harmful.
We're supposed to go to line 4. Cindy?
Unbelievable.
Hello? Hi?
Hello?
Hi, Cindy.
Hello, how
can we do for you?
How are you doing
Oh,
today?
yeah, I just wanted to make a couple of points here.
Mm-hmm.
As an ex-atheist and now Christian, I just wanted to make a point that not all Christians believe in a fundamentalist view of heaven and hell.
Okay.
Some of us are universalists, and we believe that we all go to God no matter what. So
Yeah.
it's not that burn in hell thing is sort of really weird to
No,
me
we understand
anyway.
that all Christians
As
are
an
not...
ex-atheist, I think that you should be willing to point out about the O'Hare children. One of the reasons that Madalyn was so into taking prayer out of school is because her children used to come home beat up every day when school led prayer. Yeah, and even though I am a Christian, I do believe that prayer should not be in school because of that very thing. One of the reasons she campaigned is because her own children were set up, as scapegoats, and they were beat up, literally, because they refused to pray.
That's right.
And one other point I'd like to make real quick is when people throw up that Founding Fathers thing and their intent and all that stuff, that was a moot point. That's a moot point. their society was so different than our society now that, what difference does it make what their intent was? What difference does it make? Because, some things should change. I mean, a lot of things should change. We have changed as a society, as a whole, our lifestyle. We're industrial now. We're not an agrarian society. So I think a lot of that, when people call in and throw up that Founding Fathers stuff, maybe you should point that out, that it doesn't matter what their intent was. That's all I really wanted to say.
That's where I was going with the comment about slavery.
Not
they had
all
slavery then.
Christians
Does that mean we should have it?
Not all Christians are so closed-minded that, a true Christian is going to give y'all, y'all say whatever you want, and they're not going to say y'all are going to go to hell.
But don't give us that true Christian
Because, see, they would
if
think that
somebody
they're
says
the true
they're a Christian,
Christians.
they're a Christian.
Yeah, and they would think that they're the true Christians.
Yeah.
We do appreciate you
true
coming on.
Christian would embrace you guys and say it doesn't matter what you believe. We're going to pray for you anyway, regardless of whether you believe us or not, or whether you believe in the power of prayer or believe in God.
John Coons would like to respond.
There's a fantastic book that I've written. Thank you. There's a fantastic book that I've written a review of that's on our website. The name of the book is called Without a Prayer. And anybody out there that thinks that there's no damage done by school prayer could look at this and benefit from it. What it does is it takes situations that are court cases and situations that happened in the last probably 10, 15 years, and it goes from case to case around the country. And what's interesting about it is it'll take a situation where you have, let's say, a Mormon family in a predominantly Baptist area, and that Mormon child is made to feel very bad at school and belittled and constantly picked on, and all the things like happened to O'Hare's kids.
I agree with that totally.
What's interesting about it is then the next chapter jumps to where the Mormons are in a predominantly Mormon area, and then you have a Church of Christ kid, and then it goes to an area where it's Church of Christ mainly with a Catholic kid, and you cannot come away from this book without realizing, hey, I got a crazy idea. Let's just not have prayer forced on kids. Let the families have prayers if they're going to have prayers. Let's let that be up to the individual, and let's get the school out of the prayer business completely once and for all, because it is very damaging. It's very destructive to families. It's destructive to children. It's counterproductive, and that team still did not win that game where that girl said the prayer at the thing. They lost badly. I'm talking about badly.
Sports, the next place in school.
And if
I think sports should be taken out of school right along with prayer.
Well, I tend to agree with that too. In some
I just believe that school is for education, not play.
We agree. We have a bunch of callers, so
okay, thanks a lot.
Martin,
it's not important. That there is a statement that I would like to make, though.
Okay.
And that is just, once again, because I know the last couple of calls that we've had talking, not that lady, and we do appreciate hearing from non-intolerant Christians, but the two previous guys, this whole issue of atheists being intolerant and angry towards Christians and us coming across as being really mean people who just want to shoot down religion and God and everything that people like to think is good in this country, blah, 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 blah. And, of course, the last couple of calls, we did get a little bit passionate there. Well, what you're looking at, what we are intolerant towards is an arrogant attitude taken on the part of some theists and some Christians that they have this inalienable right, whenever they feel like it, to simply shove their beliefs down our throats or any throats of any people who don't already share those beliefs, and think that it is somehow right and proper and inoffensive. And yet when we want to have our views stated, or when some member of some other religion, such as Buddhism or Judaism or Zoroastrianism or whatever you have, that would be offensive. When double standards are applied by members of the religious community, yes, that makes us angry. And we will respond to that passionately because we have convictions that these sorts of double standards are not right and are not proper. Okay? And the hypocrisy is offensive. I just want to make that clear because we've been very angry at the last two callers, and I don't want that to give a bad impression of us. I don't have a problem with Christians as individuals, but when they want to shove it down my throat, I will respond to that.
Yeah.
And I have a right to, and anyone does.
And I would like to point out, this caller we've got right now is a Christian. Not saying much terribly offensive, but I would ask you, ma'am, to think over this question. Why did you bother saying you're going to pray for us if you, as you said, you believe everybody's going to God no matter what? Then what's the point?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I guess she's gone. Let's go to Alexandra. Hello? Alexandra? I've got nothing on line 2.
Go to 3.
Okay, wait a minute. Greg?
Ow.
Hello.
Greg?
Hello.
Hi.
I respect what you people believe in. I mean, I'm almost consider myself an atheist. But I just have one little question to ask you.
Okay.
What do you feel happens after you die?
I'm gonna take
Okay,
this.
go
You just
ahead.
had a big turn.
All right.
What do I feel happens after I die? My first response would be to say that what we feel happens after we die shouldn't even be a question, because our feelings do not address matters of truth.
Okay, believe.
What do I think happens after we die? Well, I think the world goes on, and the complex process going on in my brain, which we call consciousness, stops happening. That's what I think happens.
You just cease to exist.
And your body organically
my consciousness is no longer being produced.
But I mean, isn't that slightly scary? Because
so what?
Actually,
even if it was, so what?
It wouldn't
what
change the
difference,
facts.
Martin, please.
Sorry, Jeff.
Even if
You're
it's
right.
scary, so what? Are all scary things not true, or are there scary things that are true?
I think there's a fear attached to it. Is because we can't comprehend nothingness.
Okay.
And that's why we look to religion.
I agree.
But I mean, it's such a. It seems like you'd be shortchanged if that were to happen.
If you think you want to live as long as possible, support scientific research into human life extension.
I don't want to live as long
Address
as
the
possible.
problem. Don't make up some happy land you go after you die just because you're afraid of not being around. It makes no sense.
Death? It's like being on holiday with a group of Germans.
What I did? Can I talk to him for just a second?
Sure.
Okay. I don't want you to yell at me.
Martin was talking over me, and we can't have that.
See, Jeff is in a position of now having a co-host that's every bit as garrulous as he is. So we have to find an even playing field somehow.
Don, go ahead.
Do we still have the caller?
Yeah,
I'm still there.
Here.
Okay. How did it feel before you were born?
I don't know.
Okay. But does the concept, thinking about that, I mean, is that scary? And if you put that at the end of your life, the same as at the beginning, to me, it's really not that threatening. How do you feel about that?
I guess there shouldn't be any fear attached to like what it feels like being before you're born. It's probably the same feeling of what happens after you die.
Yeah.
Okay, let me take it just a step.
Or thought. I'm sorry.
Okay, let me take it just a step further. Don't you think if that's the case, if that's true, that the end of your life is going to be just like before your life started, wouldn't it be good to live your life with that in mind? Isn't that an important starting point to realize that first of all, you're being alive.
Well, I think you're talking about like a state of peace. You mean?
No, I mean that
A
first
state
of all
of nothingness.
We may be talking about two different things here, but what I'm saying is that when you're living your life, not when you're gone, when you're living your life, it's important to know that this is it, that this is your life. First of all, you are like an incredible lottery winner just to be alive. The odds of any individual person being alive are just phenomenally
the odds of
against that.
occurring are very, not good because of how the universe works in general. Life is very, it's very rare, and it's a precious thing. I understand that.
That's right. And this is your one shot.
I mean, I understand. Religion only applies to people who are conscious. I completely understand that. It's a completely biased point of view. It only.
Good point. There are no non-existent consciousnesses worrying about non-existing.
I understand that because they're dead.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
But I mean, it's just that I think that people turn to religion is because they can't understand that. I don't think even you people understand that. You can't understand nothingness. It's like incomprehensible. It's like infinity. You just can't.
Things
understand it.
I can't understand. Things we can't understand.
How can you comprehend nothingness? You can't even put it into words because you don't know what it is.
Can I respond?
Go ahead.
I think the right thing to do about things you can't understand and can't comprehend is nothing. That's my response. I think we just lost the caller.
Uh-oh. We didn't mean to do that.
I'm going out like
all right. Let's.
I'm going out like a caiman, screaming and kicking. You can't whack death on the head. If he comes near me, I'm going to rip his nipples off.
That's, and that, I think, is a very healthy attitude.
Yeah.
We're down to a minute.
Show, do you want to take this last guy?
No.
Okay.
There's nobody there.
Nobody on the line.
I want to remind everyone that right after the show, we meet at the Hot Jumbo Bagel Shop near the corner of 5th and Lavaca to sit around and hang out with other atheists and atheist-friendly people.
Yes.
We'd like to see any of you down there that want to come.
And that is a social event for atheists and atheist-friendly people. It is not a platform for theists to show up and preach at us.
Yeah.
So stay home if that's your inclination.
The new newsletters are here.
The new newsletters are here, John says. So that's cool.
Well, otherwise, thanks for tuning in, and I guess we'll see everyone next week, won't we, Jeff?
We will see everyone next week.
So
I want to end with a comment from Nobel Prize-winning physicist Steven Weinberg on the subject of God killing off Job's kids.
Oh, and I'll have a lot about that next week.
He said, even if there is a God, how do you know that his moral judgments are the correct ones? Seems to me Abraham should have said, God, that's just not right. Bye. Bye-bye.